Okay. All right. Let's do it. All right, everyone. We're here with Pavel and Andre, and they're contractors, patio cover contractors in South Carolina or North Carolina, right? North
Going.
Carolina. Yeah. So these guys started with working with us together about 3 weeks ago, and we're just here to hear about them, what they do and a little bit about their story. So yeah, guys, let's start with knowing a little bit about you and let's just go from there.
Well, a little background for us is we both did sales back in California for, quite a bit of time. We learned the trade pretty quickly, and moving out here to North Carolina and starting a company definitely is not an easy thing. Building it from scratch, and we've tried utilizing, Google and Yelp services to try to start a business and start getting some leads to come through so we can actually start running and selling projects. But unfortunately, that route was a rocky start for us. And when Paul found you, Harry, kind of that's what reignited the business for us in a major way. I mean, I was definitely hesitant to start investing into any kind of marketing or any other kind of services to get leads just because of the experience that we already ran into from the get-go. But, I think it definitely elevated our business dramatically. I mean, in a span of just 3 weeks, we've generated more leads than Yelp and Google combined, which was already a dramatic change. And I was making a joke. I started doing a side gig just to make a little income. And with how fast things started popping off, I was telling Paul, man, I don't know how long I can do the side gig because he also has a secondary business that he's running. And, I don't want to let my guy down. So, it's definitely been a blessing in disguise for us in terms of just dealing with, a new side of marketing that we've never really dealt with in the past. And my feedback to any contractor that's real hesitant in starting something like that, which once again, I was that person where this guy's more of a risk taker, uh, is definitely something to, kind of dive into and not have too much hesitation because if you're already dealing with Google and Yelp, it's already kind of risk because it's not a guaranteed situation. And once again, the marketing stuff, it's paying off. It's awesome, and I got nothing to complain about. I mean, at this point, we're all gears and we're moving along pretty quick, and we're looking forward to the future at this point.
My
Yeah.
biggest take from this is, without risk, you'll never have reward. And sometimes, you go into risk and you have to factor in that it might not work. And that's what kind of happened to us with Yelp and Google, where the bills started piling up just because the ads are running. But again, was the setup the correct way? So the
Mhm.
biggest thing that I took away is that when you find trust with someone like Harry, I found trust and I said, I'm going to take a shot at this. It definitely puts a lot off of my plate. Basically, I don't have to be a social media, type of guy where I have to sit and do that at nighttime and then physically go into calls and run all aspects of the company. It's always nice to have someone there doing the part that he's good at. So that definitely puts aside a lot of the stress that we were trying to deal with in the beginning. When he came in and started doing that pretty much like takes off 40% of what needs to be done. And then we just have to stay in control of, getting contacts with the leads on time and then also scheduling them out and making sure that we're available for those customers. And, it was a short turnaround period where, on week two, we started trying to follow up with customers or great leads. We're coming back out into the home on two of the sales that we did, and we like just reinsured it, gave them a deal that we can give, and ended up closing out. So it's like the span of 2 weeks, and boom, sales started hitting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, there's always that little period of time, the sales cycle, right? Uh, and the thing is, like, you guys understand the process, which is the great thing, and that's why you guys are getting like such big results because you guys have like the sales skills for it, you know. And that's why a lot of people don't understand in general. They expect leads to just close themselves, when in reality, like that's what you have to do as a contractor, right? You have to like advise them and tell them what's best for them and give them what they want at the same time. Um, but yeah, I mean, like, what's your thing, Powell? Like, what's your secret sauce? Would you say in a few words? Like, how do you are you able to close these people?
The leads that are coming in are very good quality leads. Sometimes it's not about selling the same day.
Hmm.
Um, I just build relationship with customers is more important for me than closing out a deal because anyone can come in and just try to close it and say, hey, I'm a great sales guy, and show the contracts, but then you have that grace period of cancellation, and
Hmm.
a lot of those people that get pressured too hard into a sale could call in the next day and say, hey, I wasn't thinking straight, or I thought about it and this is not something I want to do. So where's the issue? Where did it come into play? Um, Sometimes you want to give more information out and make sure that the customer is totally informed and do a lot of follow-ups, just like when you get the lead, you want to follow or get in contact as soon as possible so you don't lose that interest. You want to have available dates so it accommodates to their schedules. Um, Even though we're kind of new in North Carolina with patio structures, we already have a sales guy that's literally running while we're doing this right now, and it's something
Yeah,
where we trained them up to build relationships. Sometimes it doesn't, like, we don't want them to be commission hungry, we want them
yeah,
to say, like, hey, build the relationship rapport. You sell a $50,000, $80,000 sunroom, or a $60,000 patio structure, that's 6 grand. If you
yeah,
take that in perspective and spend 2 to 4 hours total time of building relationship and follow-ups, in 4 hours getting paid 6,000 or 8,000 is definitely money that you're not going to make at a 9 to 5. Sometimes even
yeah,
as a business owner, I won't make that.
yeah.
But
Not
it
even
definitely,
graduates.
yeah.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it's like, know your product really well. When you get these leads in, like so far, what we've been getting out of all the leads that we've got, and I don't know the exact count, but let's just put it in perspective of 16 to 20 leads. I think only one of them didn't contact us back or like have any response. Other than that, we've contacted every single lead. And the funny thing is, those leads, the first leads we ran are the ones that close out the jobs for the most part, So it's like
No, that's amazing numbers.
Anil was the second person that contact or came onto one of our funnels, and he ended up closing a job last week.
Yeah,
So
no, that's awesome. Yeah, no, that's pretty cool. And that's what a lot of people don't realize, like in your space, is that relationships and like just building the trust is pretty much almost the whole sale. Besides you knowing about the product, just like how you make them feel is what's really going to close them. Because a lot of contractors don't do like a great job like you guys. So you guys have that advantage over there. So, and real quick, right? Like, where were you guys before this? Like, I know you guys, we talked a little bit, right? And you guys were in like the starting stages, and you guys were, moving from one market to the other, and you guys were going through that process. So, like, what was that like before?
I have a GC side of, that we do like remodeling and everything else. So I literally kind of put that business aside just because I know like Andre needs to start making some sort of income, off of this business just to capture him 100% and not have a side gig.
Hmm.
Um, so obviously investments are important, and when you're pretty much already tried 2 markets and you're down like 4 or 5 grand in the ads spent, but at the end of the day, get no results. Like I seen a give up point on his end, where he's like, nothing's really working. Like, what do we have to do? Go do door to door sales. And I'm coming up with all these strategies, and I'm like, I'm not even gonna ask him. Reached out to Harry, I started talking to you, signed the contract, and then when we were like a official thing, I just straight up told him, I was like, look, I did a 3 month contract. It's going to be this and this much, and we have to pay for ads too. And he looked at me like, we're already down with this business. How are you seeing this as a benefit, or like, how will it benefit us, Because it's like when I've ran businesses before, I knew the risks that you have to take when you start off a
Mhm.
business. It's like it's your own kid, in a way.
Yeah.
So if your kid fails or falls, you're not gonna give up on him, right? You're gonna have to like help him out and keep supporting him. So in a sense, again, I took a risk. The things that I've heard seemed fair to me to take that risk, and like I've gained the trust for Harry to say like, you know what, it's worth a shot. Like even if it doesn't work out, I'm a Christian, so at the end of the day, that definitely like sparked up my thing where it's like, look, everybody needs a fair shot, and when I've told you like I'm a Christian and stuff, then that definitely ended up like, and I had your response. And I'm like, I know I can trust this guy, you know.
Appreciate that. Well, thank God, we found each other. We were
Yeah,
able to work together. That's awesome, man. I appreciate you guys sharing that story. And then I guess like the last thing here would be in a few words, like what would you say to another contractor? Like let's say in like 3 to 5 words.
I would give that to Andre to say, just because this is his first time kind of starting up a business, and maybe even if he's doing a little bit less work because he's trying to focus on another job. But I truly want to hear like what does he feel, because going through opening up a first business, going through the stress, maybe not having spouse support all the time, and like, oh, it's one of those things that is probably not going to work, so why are you even trying? So
Yeah. You're
I
killing
don't
it,
know,
Andre.
let's hear it from Andre. Kill it.
You're killing it, man.
Honestly, to piggyback off of what Paul said, is just don't have doubt. And definitely, if you have a partner, don't have doubt in what your partner has, because sometimes his experience might kind of be the advantage of what he sees that you might not. And like I said, where my hesitation was holding us back from progressing, he took that shot of just kind of going with his gut. So, go with your gut, realistically speaking, where I didn't see it, he did. And now I'm looking back at it saying, we should have done that a lot sooner. So, I mean, that's the biggest takeaway, is sometimes you just have to kind of roll with the punches, and you don't lose anything, you gain. So
Yeah.
that's the
Just take
biggest
the
takeaway.
risk.
Take the
Yeah.
risk.
Just take the risk, man. Yeah, no, that's great. And that's really the only thing that stops people in general from getting to that next level, you know what I mean? It's just like not being able to take the risk, because like there's always fear, but also like courage, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
courage is always what's going to take you like to that next step. So you guys took it, and well, this is only the beginning. We've helped a lot of startups this year, and like one of our startups is going to hit 7 figures in their first year. Actually, less than a year because they started in February. And then our other startup here in Sacramento, actually, where it's super competitive, he's like flooded with leads every single month, and all his competitors that have been in business for years, they're just like super dead. So like just in the beginning, it's really all about like showing yourself, like investing in the business and like showing yourself to everyone in the area. You know what I mean? Because that's really what has really changed over the years. People are not searching as much anymore. So now you have to like
Yeah.
transition into something that gives you more exposure. And that's what, we're doing here. So, and we're going to
You have
keep
to
going
change
all
with the
strong.
times, man. You got to change with the times. That's what it is. It's the
Yes,
only way
sir.
you survive in this business.
That's it.
Look at him saying that and confidently, when like when he heard this the first time, he's like, you're an idiot. Why are you even doing this? Like, you're just putting us in more. I said, you know what? Here's a great opportunity for you to like say, I don't want to be part of this. But then
Yeah.
like he stuck it out a little bit in a way, and it's like as soon as we started hitting those first leads, you should have seen this guy's face. He's like, "Ooh, we're gonna be rich." I was like, stop hyping it up that much. Like it'll get there. Like as long
Yeah.
as we're consistent and we show that, we're quality opposed to competitors. So
Yeah.
definitely definitely is paying off. Hopefully, we see like even more results. Just because the plans are with the sold jobs that we had, we're gonna probably put more than half of that profit into just boosting the ads to a point where we're gonna be tired of running leads.
Yeah.
Which will
Yeah.
never happen.
Yeah, no, and just to give you perspective, here in Sacramento, for the company I made $2 million for in the first year, they grew like that too. They started spending 1,200, and then they spent 3 grand, and then they spend six grand, 8 grand a month, and like that's how they got to the millions, you know. And that's, I mean, that's usually what just happens. But we'll be working together on that, making sure that the process is done right because there's a certain process to do it, and then just go from there. So. Yeah, I appreciate you guys sharing all that with me. It's been a short ride, but really fun ride with you guys. So, we're
Nice.
gonna grow this thing a lot more as we
Yep.
go. All right.